The Kindle Paperwhite for me has been the easiest product to recommend to anyone looking for an ebook reader, especially since 2021 when the version came out with a larger display. So what's changed since the 2021 Paperwhite model? Should you upgrade? Or is this more for people who have an older device? I'm Cam Bunton, this is Trusted Reviews, let's dive in. With a Kindle, the design can be one of those changes that simultaneously matters the most and also the least, depending on how you look at it. Yes, there are some purely aesthetic changes that don't make much difference to the experience of using this little e-reader. However, there is a change in the materials, or so it seems, and this might actually be something that we'll only see making a difference after a year or two of using it. The soft finish on the back feels less sticky than the back of the last Kindle, and as you can see from looking at my old model, that could be a very good thing. After 3 years of usage, that finish on the back is pretty much ruined on the previous model because it seems to cling to little bits of dust and any oils that come from my hands and fingers. It looks gross. On that note, if you are undecided on getting a case for your Kindle, just get one. It's well worth it in the long run. That extra protection on a device like this that's designed to be used for years is well worth it. As for other changes, they're pretty minimal, but it seems they've all been made in an effort to soften the shape of the Kindle. The rounded corners are less right-angled and a lot more round, and the curves at the edges are more generous too. And if you look really closely, you'll see that even the subtle rubber bumper that joins the front with the sides is smaller and more seamlessly joined with the casing. There are new colours this year too, which are richer than the previously quite muted pastel colours of older generations, like this awesome raspberry pink version which looks fantastic. There's also a jade green option as well as the usual all black model. Otherwise, speaking broad strokes, they're largely the same. Amazon has stuck with its tried and tested single button approach, so you get one button for waking and locking the Kindle and everything else is controlled using the touchscreen. It's also water resistant like the last one, so it won't matter too much if it gets splashed with rain or if you read it in a hot bath surrounded by moisture. And since we're there, let's talk about that new display. Because while it is different to its predecessor in a few ways, I'm not entirely convinced the upgrade is all that meaningful in this single generation jump. Of course, the extra size does help a bit. It's gone up from 6.8 to 7 inches, and in reality when you're reading, that means that if you choose the same font in the same style and size, you'll get a couple of lines of extra text from the newer model. And that means a little less page turning and more time reading. That'll be something that benefits you more if you use the larger font sizes. But there were a couple of other improvements I noticed when using the new Kindle as well. One of those is that it felt like the display was a little easier to read. Amazon says it has increased the contrast ratio, which makes text stand out a little more clearly. And the anti-reflective or anti-glare properties are of bigger importance here too. The new screen surface copes better with direct sources of light, softening and dispersing their reflections a lot more effectively than what the last model managed. And the front lighting system has changed too. You've still got the same options in the drop-down menu for adjusting the screen light brightness and the warmth, but the colour temperatures have been adapted significantly. For instance, if you set the warmth to 0, the older Paperwhite has a much cooler tint to it, it's almost blue, where even at its lowest setting the new model still retains a natural golden warmth, like it's more designed to match the ambient lighting around you. Similarly, set to its maximum, the new model doesn't seem quite as orange or red tinted as the old one, and so it feels like it's a much more subtle warm light designed to fit in with the ambient warm light around you, rather than aggressively changing the look of the display. In that way, it appears more like paperwood in an environment than the 2021 version does. There is an argument to be made, however, that the biggest improvements have been made in performance and battery life, especially when we're talking about the speed and the responsiveness of the animations on the display. Turning pages while reading, the text refreshes just that little bit quicker, but the faster loading and the speed is more noticeable when doing things like going back to the home screen or loading up the Kindle store. It's faster to refresh and faster to load. It doesn't completely get rid of that full screen refresh you see sometimes when the screen goes black for a split second, but it does reduce the time that it's visible for. And so it has less of that obviously glitchy feel that some people unfamiliar with Kindles and e-ink displays always seem to notice. It also makes a big difference if you ever need to use the keyboard to search for titles in the web store. The faster response means a less laggy experience. I didn't feel like the delay between tapping the keys and seeing the letters appear on screen screen was anywhere near as slow. Now, once you're actually immersed in your book, which is about 99% of the time you're using a Kindle, it's unlikely these speed improvements will make a huge difference at all to what it's like using a Kindle, since most of the time you are just staring at a static page. However, when interacting with the Paperwhite and navigating through the interface, that's when the improvements make themselves clear, and honestly, it's a change that removes some of the frustrations that have, in the past, hampered the Kindle experience. The other big improvements, of course, battery life, although admittedly it is something that's really hard to measure on a device that can go weeks between charges. However, Amazon claims up to 12 weeks of battery life with the latest Kindle Paperwhite. It's worth noting here that the 2021 version wasn't exactly poor in this department. With a 10-week battery range, it's hardly needing to be topped up frequently. So the end result, you can still easily read every night for a month and still have lots of battery left over. Again, worth noting, the battery will drain faster if you use the light frequently to illuminate the screen, especially if you have the brightness cranked up near to its highest levels. It'll also drain quicker the faster that you read, since every page turn refreshes the screen and consumes a little more battery juice. Like I said, it's hard to measure, but getting near enough 3 months of battery on a full charge is nothing to be scoffed at. So should you upgrade from the previous model, or look for that version if you haven't bought one yet? Well, I think there are a couple of different ways you can look at this new Paperwhite. Whether or not you should upgrade from the previous one, I think, depends on just a couple of things. One of those is, how long have you had it? If you bought it when it first came out 3 years ago and it's a little worse for wear and you use it all the time, absolutely. Of course, the last one might still last you a bit longer, but you're not losing anything by upgrading. You'll have a faster, newer, longer lasting tablet. But if your existing Paperwhite is more recent, or in really good nick because you've had it in a case and have no complaints, then no, I don't think you should upgrade. There are undoubtedly some improvements, but they're not significant enough to massively impact your experience of reading on a Kindle. Now, if you have an older one from 2019, then the improvements are a lot more significant. You'll get a much faster, longer lasting Kindle with a much bigger display. And if this is your first Kindle, the latest Paperwhite is still the one I'd say you should buy of all of them. It's got the best balance of great reading experience, long lasting battery, and product design. Plus, it's not hideously expensive. But let me know what you think of the latest Kindle Paperwhite in the comments down below, or you can grab me on social media. I'm at Cam Bunton on Threads. If you did like this video, please do hit that like button, subscribe and tap that notification bell, and I'll see you again in the next one. Thanks so much for watching. Bye bye.